Hi Cooking Cronies. Today I'm going to share with you a quiche recipe that I've kind of created on my own. I've looked at several different quiche recipes and decided that they had one thing in common, and that was eggs. So I am going to make one with chorizo sausage, a small yellow squash, a half an onion, some cheddar cheese. I bought the Fiesta blend from Walmart. And it's some heavy whipping cream, salt and pepper, and a little nutmeg. So I'll start this recipe in just a moment. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so I'm going to start by pre-baking my quiche pie crust. And I'm doing this with one that I have purchased, and this was one that was purchased from Kroger. So I'm using a parchment paper. I wadded it up and then spread it out over the pie crust, and then added beans to weigh it down, and I will bake it for 30 minutes in a 350-degree oven. So this is what the pie looks like that I'm going to put in the oven, the pie crust. So I have the pre-made pie crust, I've got the parchment paper, I've got the beans in here, the dry beans, to weigh it down, and I'm going to place it in the oven for 30 minutes. Okay, the reason that you're going to blind bake your crust prior to adding your quiche ingredients is to keep the pie crust from getting soggy underneath. So I'll be back when the pie crust is ready for the filling.
Go.
All right, so Cooking Cronies, I'm going to start putting together the quiche filling itself. So I have half an onion that I have chopped. I had a small yellow squash in my refrigerator, so I decided to use that. So I have cut it into thin pieces. I have 6 eggs that I'll beat slightly. I'm going to be using about 12 ounces of the heavy whipping cream. I have chorizo sausage here, a little spicy. Again, you know that my family loves spicy. And so for the cheese in the quiche, I'm using the Fiesta blend. So I've got my skillet going. I have it on medium-high heat, and I'm going to add the chorizo sausage to it, and I will cook it until it is almost cooked through. All right. Guess I should turn that light on. All right, so this is going to go in to my hot skillet. And by the time this is all done, the pie crust should be ready as well. This is smelling good. And I'm just breaking it up because I want it to be crumbly for the quiche. And when it starts getting a little more cooked, I will add the onion and the yellow squash. I'll leave it alone for a minute. While the chorizo is cooking, I'm going to put the eggs in a bowl so I can whisk them. And normally I would use 4 eggs, but these are farm fresh eggs that my dad brought me, and they're different sizes. Some are large, some are small, so I am using 6 eggs for this recipe. Nothing better than farm fresh eggs, tell you. If you want to know what an egg tastes like, get a farm fresh egg. So I'm going to whisk them lightly, and then I'll add the nutmeg and the cream. All right, this is starting to cook up nicely. So I'm going to add the onions and the squash in there. And I'm going to turn down the heat because I really don't, looks like it's cooking kind of quickly. And my pie crust still has a little over 20 minutes. So. All right. So we'll just mix all this in. Gosh, this is pretty with the red chorizo and the yellow squash. That was a yellow onion I chopped up, but you can use any onion that you have. And I'm just going to let this cook till the vegetables get a little soft. All right, back to the egg. I'm going to whisk this. It's lightly whisked, and I'm going to add some nutmeg to it. I've got some fresh nutmeg here, so I'm just going to grind a little bit into the egg mixture. You don't want the nutmeg to overpower, you just want to know it's there. About 1/8 of a teaspoon. Oh gosh, that smells wonderful. Okay, close that back up and mix this. And then I'm going to use 6 ounces of heavy whipping cream. So that, I guess it helps to take the little plug off of there. That's 1.5 cups. So 12 ounces. And now I'll add that to the egg mixture. Boy, that is heavy cream. And we'll mix this. Now this is going to add just a pinch of salt. I don't want that to go to waste. So I'm going to scoop all that out. That way I know I'm getting what I measured. And then I'll add a pinch of kosher salt. Well, probably a little more than a pinch, and some fresh ground pepper. All right, so here's some kosher salt. I'm just gonna scoop it in there. And grind some pepper. And the amount of pepper and salt you use is to your taste. And if you don't have a pepper grinder, just use regular ground black pepper, probably about 1/2 teaspoon. And I'll mix this together. All right, now all we have to do is wait for the crust to finish, and we'll be ready to go. Pretty. All right, got it out of the oven, and there was one small crack, so I pulled out a spoon just to smooth over the crack, and it looks pretty darn good. So I'm ready to start with the ingredients. So I've got the chorizo mixture that's got the onions and the squash, and I'm going to put it at the bottom, and I'll spread it around evenly once I get it in. Okay. And because the edges of the pie crust already look like they're browning, I don't want them to burn, so I will cover them with a pie silicone. It's a silicone edge, pie edger, I guess is what it's called, and it just keeps the pie edges from burning. If you don't have one, just use foil. All right, that looks pretty good. So now I will add the cheese, and I'm going to use about 1 cup of cheese, and I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm not going to measure it. You know, you never have too much cheese anyway. So just sprinkle that around. That looks pretty And then I will pour the egg mixture in there. Now this wasn't a deep pan pie crust, so I'm hoping all this fits. If not, I will use muffin cups to use up the rest of it and just have an egg mixture. Don't want to overfill it. So it really didn't fill. I guess for a pre-bought pie crust, you could probably cut your eggs down to 3, and that way you don't have extra, or you can make 2 quiche. So I'm only going to make 1 today. And this is the silicone pie edge cover, and I'm going to put it around the pie to keep the edges from browning some more. So there we go. It's going to go back into a 350-degree oven. And that's going to bake for 30 minutes, and we'll see how this turns out. All right, the quiche is done. It looks beautiful. It's going to need to set for at least 15 to 20 minutes before we can cut into it, but it just looks really, really pretty and smells delicious. So we'll see how it turns out. All right, the way you check a quiche to make sure that it's done is you use a knife and you insert it in the center. And if it comes out clean like it did here, then you know it's cooked thoroughly. So it's ready. It's ready to cool off a little bit before we cut into it, and then we'll enjoy a wonderfully tasted lunch. All right, so this has been waiting for 15 minutes. I'm going to cut into it. Oh, look how beautiful. Very good. Hope you give it a shot. Thank you for being a part of Cooking Cronies. I hope you enjoy this recipe, and we look forward to sending more to you and sharing our love with you. God bless.